Hey Google, continue play. Hello. Some people are watching. Hey Google, pause. Hey Google, pause. Yo Hans, how's it going? How's your day? You are the only one here, so it's just going to be you and I chatting for now. Oh, there's another person here. I wonder if that's my mom. Hans, day is good so far. I'm glad. How's the weather where you are, Hans? And remind me where you are, Hans. I want to say you're in Germany, but I could be completely just wrong on that. I was sitting here watching some Star Trek. There's Christopher Williams. Hans, I don't know why I thought you were in Germany. Chicago sounds like a much more reasonable place for someone to be. Christopher, how you doing? Did you get my notification? I tried doing this new thing where you would get a new notification this time around. So let me know. Let's see if I can share pictures from my trip. Jason, good evening, Thomas, or should I say C3PO? Oh, you watched the episode. Excellent. Let me see if I can pull up some pictures for my trip. Good. Everyone got notifications. I hope that helps tell people a little bit more. I don't know if we're sending out notifications or if we're not sending out notifications on these things, but I decided I was going to. Okay, got some pictures too all booted up. But not YouTube. Yeah, YouTube doesn't send them out because this is a private chat. So if YouTube were to send a notification, it would be for a public chat, which means all the subscribers will get a notification. But this is just for you, our loyal and very generous patrons. So that's the reason why I do that. Hello, Serena. How's it going? 7 people. Wow. How is everyone doing tonight? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it sticky? Is it rainy? It's sticky and tempting rain here, but it's not quite rainy entirely. I'm all right. I'm doing all right. Let me see if I can sit up a little bit more. It's just right here in British Columbia. It's always right in British Columbia. It's about 80 degrees Fahrenheit here, Serena. Jan, hi, Thomas. It's cloudy and a tad chilly here in North Manitoba, Canada. Chilly. Go for some chili right now. I was just talking to somebody about Canada and whether or not it's worth moving to Canada. All good, doing good here. Yeah, hot and dry hair in the UK wells. Well, what is hot in the UK? Because I never really took the United Kingdom as a place that actually got hot. Now, hot is all relative, I'd say, because someone in Florida might laugh at this, which I think is hot, and someone in I don't know, Texas, I'd laugh at someone in Texas who thought it was cold. It's way too hot in the Chicago area this weekend, but a little better now. I believe that Chicago definitely is a very volatile climate. Been overcast for most day here in Calgary. Calgary, I was looking at houses in Calgary. Check UK weather report now, just a second. I know it's a heat wave. Let's see. Let's ask. can't reach Google at the moment. How good are you? What's the temperature in London? It's 62 degrees Fahrenheit right now, but it's also pretty late at night, so that makes sense. Okay, so it's officially 9 o'clock right now. We got 10 people watching. Can you guys hear me okay? I know my fan in my back is kind of loud on my computer, and so that might be interrupting the microphone. But can everyone hear me okay? Yes, all good. Congrats on my first song of the episode. How did you find the songwriting process? I think I chose to do a little bit of a harder song than I should have for my first song. It was a process of, I had an idea in my mind. The problem, and I've always had this problem, is how do I get the idea in my mind to actually a keyboard, to actually the program, and trying to get the program to sound like I wanted in my head. And that's really hard to do sometimes. Wow, I got a lot of pimples here. Call me Dawn. Hi, Thomas. I'm Dawn, a new Patreon. Started watching live streams with Bryan solo last week. Welcome, Dawn. Glad to have you here. If you have any questions, just shout them out, and we'll do our best to answer them. So the song itself, I know, is pretty different than what we typically do. I was kind of happy with it. Andrew really helped a lot. So I had the basic idea, and he helped me flesh it out. And I think that's really what we needed to do. Now, I have been trying to reacquaint myself with the piano lately, and I'm hoping to contribute a little bit more, especially in the Deep South episode when we go to New Orleans. I've been working on some New Orleans music. Does anyone call you Tom, or is that a no-no? Robby calls me Tom. My dad calls me Tom. I told my old boss at CBS to call me Tom because I was trying to go through a business phase where I felt like Tom was a little bit more Tom versus Thomas, which is a little softer. So I was trying out Tom for a little bit. You can call me whatever, though. Most people call me Thomas. Let's see. NJ Hart. Oh, so Dawn. Will do. Thanks. Looking forward to hearing about Maine, one of my favorite places ever. Well, good. I'm looking forward to talking about Maine. But before I do, let me just make sure what's my music background? Asks Serena. I played jazz. I took I think 6 years of piano when I was a kid. I sadly didn't appreciate it as much as I should have when I was that young. Nowhere near as good as Andrew, who just seems to have a natural talent for it. But I can play chords, and if you give me enough time and with the sheet music, I can try and figure something out. But I can't do what Andrew does: look at sheet music and process it out like a machine with my fingers. My biggest, I guess, barrier to cross is hand independence. So with the program, I can do my right hand by itself, and then I can go back and re-record my left hand. But if you ask me to play them both simultaneously, I can't really quite do that yet unless I'm doing chords and they're not concurrent. I was looking forward to hearing when you'd come up with what you'd come up with song-wise. Yeah, my song was I don't know how many of you actually know which song was mine. When I say mine, I mean that in a collaborative sense. Andrew still did a lot of the music. I had the basic melody, and Andrew helped me flesh it out a little bit. It was I forget what we ended up. Oh, I think it's called "I Ain't Satisfied," but it's the song. It's the road song right after the Mount Whitney morning to Death Valley with the jets flying by. So I had the melody. Andrew helped me flesh it out. Of course, Nate Laguzza, who does all our drums, really did a lot to help bring that alive. So yeah, that's kind of my contribution. Like I said, I'm hoping to do a lot more on the newer episodes. I'm not going to make it as complex as I did on this one. Like I said, I think I started off too heavy, too fast. But we'll see what happens. Jules, I think you will always be tan pants as far as I'm concerned. None of this Thomas debate. I like that, Jules. Somebody, when I was hiking up in Maine, and I'll talk more about this later, I was hiking up Katahdin, and I met a lot of people who were hiking the Appalachian Trail, finishing it as well as starting it going southbound from Maine down to Georgia. And this guy, we were talking a little bit, and I asked what his name was, and it was a bird, something like spiky shin or something like that. And I thought he was talking about like he bumped his shin on the boulders climbing down, and that's why I called him so spiky shin. But no, it's named after a bird or something. And I find that a little bizarre because usually other people give you trail names. You don't get to choose your own trail name. That's the whole appeal slash burden of a trail name. And he asked me my name, and I told him Thomas. And then I corrected and said, well, a lot of people call me Tan Pants, but I don't think I've quite earned that yet. But he seemed to like to call me Tan Pants. So I guess that is my trail name. You'll always be Grievous to me. Now, William, that's what everyone, when I was growing up, with the guys would call me Grievous. Grievous Guy 64. That was my Xbox 360 call sign, as well as my PlayStation call sign. If you ever want to try and play with me, I hardly ever played PlayStation anymore. So, do you want me to talk about Maine a little bit, and everything that happened there? I'm going to be honest. I did a lot more than just Maine. About, I'd say, a week and a half ago, I was looking at my calendar and I said, I'm running out of time. I wanted to do an East Coast road trip by myself, just to say that I've made it from coast to coast in California over to the Atlantic. And I decided Monday I was going to head out Wednesday or Thursday. So Monday, Tuesday, I figured out where I was going to go roughly, came up with a plan, got in touch with the people. So I started off from Columbus, going to my friend in Philly, stay with my friend in Philly. Then I went to New York, visit some college friends in New York for the weekend, checked out New York City for the first time. I keep saying first time. In actuality, I was there back in 2001. And a lot's changed since then. Stayed in New York, saw my friend's concert, whose music I'd actually like to try and incorporate in my main episode, video, whatever you want to call it. From New York, I drove up to see my other college friend / roommate who lives in Massachusetts, and we drove up to the top of a mountain there called Mount Sugarloaf in Deerfield, which was an amazing view of the Connecticut River, rolling hills all around, old 300-year churches, or church, I should say, classic New England. It was so picturesque, I couldn't believe it, with this, with these clouds that kept rolling over the hills. I got some great time lapses of that I'm going to incorporate into the video. Then from Massachusetts, I drove up to the Atlantic coast of Maine, stopped at Two Lights Harbor, I believe. That's just south of Portland. I had my first ever lobster, Maine lobster there right on the coast. It was an experience. It was delicious. Pricey, but delicious. Then I drove from near Portland all the way up to Baxter State Park, where I spent the night in a lean-to and woke up at sunrise, which was 4 a.m., and began hiking Mount Katahdin. So before I start talking about Mount Katahdin, let me make sure I'm caught up on all my questions here. Guests love to hear about it. Had you been to the Atlantic before your road trip? I had been when I was in high school with my, a few times. Most notably when I was in high school, our family went to Hilton Head, as most Ohioans end up doing for whatever reason. Had a great time there and saw a lot of the Atlantic. But it had been years, probably I was 16. I think I was 16. So 8 years or so. No, is that right? Yeah, I guess 8, 9 years. Christopher Williams, could you guys take turns doing a stream for the UK viewers once a week? I think Robby did once a while ago, but isn't often as I thought. We should do that. I got to take a look at the time difference. What time is it? Okay, Google. Hey, Google. What time is it in the UK?
The time in the United Kingdom is 2:11 a.m.
Ugh. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it's definitely not a great time for you guys. Yeah, yes, absolutely, we can do that. If specifically you have questions for us, we'll try and schedule this a little earlier. Problem is, if we do it too early, most people on the West Coast can't do it because they're at work. So maybe there's a good balance there. Maybe we'll take a rotate every month or so, and someone that month will do a UK stream or a Europe stream. All right, let me get back to the questions. Joel, were you guys going to do a live pizza party stream? I think we will when we're all together, but individually, probably not. I did have pizza today, though. Christopher Williams, eating lobster like a giant prawn, taste and texture wise. Oh, is eating a lobster like eating a giant prawn, taste and texture wise? Have you really never had lobster? It's very different, I'd say. There's a lot of debate whether or not lobster is good or butter is good. And I think my conclusion is separately, they're both good. Together, they're great. But if you've never had lobster, dude, I'd say there's nothing really comparable to it. If anything, it's kind of more like crab, but better than crab, in my opinion. Hi, Thomas, from Thomas Wen. Hey, Thomas. Love you and Adventure Archives. Keep doing what you do. Thanks, Thomas. I'll do that. P.S. Great name. Great name right back at you, Thomas Wen. Christopher Williams, 5-hour difference. Lol. Yes, sorry. Google helped me with that. It's like 11 a.m. here in Australia. It's always 11:11 when you look at the clock. It's funny how that works. You've seen the Atlantic. You've seen the Pacific. What ocean is next on the Arctic? I'd love to see the Arctic Ocean. Or is it the Antarctic Ocean? Hey, Google. What are the oceans?
According to Wikipedia, an ocean is a body of saline water that composes much of a planet's hydrosphere.
Yeah. Hey, Google. What are the 7 oceans?
On the website oceanservice.noaa.gov, they say, the 7 seas include the Arctic, North Atlantic, South Atlantic, North Pacific, South Pacific, Indian, and Southern Oceans. Yeah, I was right. It was the Arctic Ocean. I want to see the Arctic Ocean. Just because I feel like that's so diverse and so different than everything else. And it's frozen a lot of the time. Up Trail 71, how's it going? How's the UP, which is actually maybe my next road trip. Hi, Thomas. Check out some of my Up Trail 71 Instagram pics from our 42.5 mile lakeshore hike on Pictured Rocks last weekend. Oh my gosh, 42.5 miles. That is not a leisurely stroll. But don't I even follow you on Instagram? If you don't follow me on Instagram, feel free to, or feel free not to. Let me see. Up Trail 71. I'm sorry I'm doing this right in front of everyone here. This is the least exciting thing. There we go. Followed by Adventure Archives. Followed by Thomas. There we go. Wow, look at all these pictures. Look at this porcupine. Look at that porcupine. Porcupine at the Porcupine Mountains. That's funny. Look at this old car too. This is awesome. All right, if you like our stuff, if you like Instagram more than YouTube, definitely check out Up Trail 71 stuff. He's got some good stuff here, and I am now following it. Excellent. Never tasted lobster. I mean, hey, Up Trail 71 says Jason. Arctic is the top. Arctic is one on the top. Southern is the one on the bottom. Well, you made my Google Home go off too. Thomas Wen, what's your Instagram? My Instagram is Grievous Guy 64. GRIEVOUS
GUY64. You can thank middle school Thomas for that. Christopher Williams, we got hedgehogs in the UK, closest thing to a porcupine. Hedgehogs are a lot cuter, though, and not nearly as dangerous. Okay, 21 people here. Wish I could see all 21 of you. Any significance behind the 64? Yes, I stole that from Andrew. Andrew used to be Drew Boy 64 when he was a kid because of Nintendo 64, and I think Bryan used to be something 64 as well. And because I was 11 and had no creativity, I just stole that from Andrew and Bryan. Nintendo 64 though, which is funny because I actually never even had a Nintendo 64. I did like Nintendo though. Jules, Uptrail 71, you are so lucky to live there. I just watched Adventure Archives episode when they met up with you at Pictured Rocks. What an incredible area. So beautiful. I wish I could have gone on that. But that is actually going to be maybe my next road trip if I can squeeze it in before school starts. It'd be up through Michigan, through the UP, down Minnesota, Wisconsin, Chicago, Indiana, Ohio. If I want to be very adventurous, I'll throw in the Dakotas in there as well. But I don't know if I can do that. That's a lot of stuff. Yeah, you were missed on that one, Thomas. Well, thank you. Yeah, let me talk about how Katahdin kicked my butt. Okay, so it was last Tuesday, so a week ago from tomorrow. I started my hike at 4 a.m., which is when the sun was rising that far east and that far north, up in Baxter State Park, Maine. Now, to the top of Mount Katahdin, there are a few different trails you can take. 4 off the top of my head. There is the infamous Knife's Edge route, which is what most people do because it's the most iconic and scariest, because you go along this ridge that's very narrow and very thin with sheer drops. I did not score a parking permit there, but I did get a campsite at the last campsite at the Appalachian Trail head to Mount Katahdin, which roughly was the same distance, maybe a little bit longer. And very, very bouldery. So that was the thing. Started at 4 a.m. I've hiked the Appalachian Trail from the campsite up past Katahdin, all around the stream. You go over this bridge, which is a beautiful bridge, past Katahdin Falls, which is incredible. I don't have pictures of that. I do have video of that, which I filmed all of this, by the way, which it'll make an interesting episode because of how much climbing there was and how windy it was. I wasn't able to film it as picturesquely as we typically do. It's a lot more handheld, a lot more first person, a lot more holding the camera at myself and holding the camera at where I'm walking, which I don't know if that makes for the best video, but it's definitely the most accurate way I could show it. So I hiked up and I started at 4 a.m. But I skipped breakfast because I was waiting to get to the timber line, the tree line, before I would eat breakfast, thinking that it wasn't that far, maybe an hour or two. So by the time I'd get to by the time it was 7 o'clock, maybe 8 o'clock, I could stop for breakfast. Now, the problem was I did not anticipate that the timberline would be so far up. So I hiked for about 4 hours before breaking the timberline. And when I did, I could not believe how many boulders were between me and the tabletop, which is kind of like the last part before hitting the top. So from the route I took, there were no switchbacks, which is something I didn't realize. In the West, you have these things called switchbacks, which means you basically zigzag up a mountain. If you watched our Mount Whitney episode, you'll know that we had a part of Mount Whitney called the 99 Switchbacks, which it's a long hike, but it's not very grating on you. With Katahdin, you're just going up, just up like this. And if there's a boulder in your way, you got to get on top of that boulder, or else you're just not going up. There's no easy way to navigate around it. You just got to literally prop yourself up. And at first, it wasn't that bad. You know, you have to pull yourself up here and there. But after you broke the tree line, you would literally have to grab onto these bolts and these bars built into the side of the boulders just to hoist yourself up. And if you're carrying a tripod like I was, that provides an interesting challenge because it was so windy where I was. It would not stop either. It felt like a mile of just straight boulder climbing, which did a lot more damage to my knees than I was really anticipating, especially on the way down, but I'll talk about that later. The hike up was more of a climb. So when I say mountain climbing, it really was a climb. And I ran into an Appalachian Trail angel hiker. He wasn't a through hiker, but he was a section hiker and a trail angel. And if you don't know what a trail angel is, it's somebody who helps the through hikers and the section hikers, or anyone hiking the Appalachian Trail, with food, with rides, with anything that they need. They just loved it because they love being out in nature and supporting these people. So I was talking to a trail angel, and he was saying that Katahdin, with the exception of the White Mountains, was probably the most difficult part of the whole Appalachian Trail, which was encouraging for me because I was getting my my ass handed to me, and I felt like it should not have been that hard. But it was encouraging to hear him say how difficult it was. So, and he also said that this, more than anything, was mountaineering, which also was kind of interesting to hear. So I climbed up and I climbed up and I climbed up. And of course, the Appalachian Trail through hikers are running past me because they've been doing this for months and months. And they're actually finishing pretty early in the season, end of June, when I think typically people end August, maybe September. So I climbed, and then after a while, you hit this park called the Tabletop. So you go up this ridge, and then after you get to the ridge, you get to this place that basically is a plateau. And you go along the plateau that has this tundra-like climate because of the soil and because of the altitude. It's very reflective of what you'd see very far north up in Canada near the Arctic Circle. So you hike that for a little bit. It's pretty flat. I hiked by this place called Thoreau Springs, which is a place where Henry David Thoreau actually stopped when he hiked this mountain. And I talk about it in the video, but Henry David Thoreau was a big inspiration for Andrew when he first started Adventure Archives. And if you watch our first episode, I think those are the first words he actually says. So that's a bit of Adventure Archives trivia for you. So after that, you get a little bit more grade, which is much easier because the boulders aren't as huge as they were up the big ridge that I went up. And then eventually you'll get to the top and you'll see the Baxter Peak Mount Katahdin sign that you always see when you see a through hiker finishing their northbound hike. So I took pictures up there, and I saw Knife's Edge, and I saw Chimney Pond below, and I saw all the other routes, and there were a lot of people up there. I stayed up there for about an hour or so, snapping pictures, videos that you'll see later. Then I went down, and going down was probably twice as hard as going up for me because typically I've mentioned this before, I always have difficulty going downhill just because my muscles aren't that strong there and my knees are a little weaker and I'm top heavy. So that's why I hike with poles all the time if you watch the videos. But the problem with boulders are you can't use your poles when you're trying to hike down boulders. What you have to do is you have to get down on your butt, and you have to slide down, or you have to jump down. The problem is you can't jump down all the time because you're not jumping from flat surface to flat surface. You're jumping from rocky boulder to multiple rocky boulders and hoping that one foot lands on one boulder and the other foot lands on another boulder. So you try not to do that most of the time. You have to take it slow and steady. But you do that for about 6 miles because it's all boulders. Oh, Netflix just turned off. So I was in a decent amount of pain by the time I got back. I was going to make the drive to Vermont right after that, but I had to call it quits because I was just so tired, and I ended up staying in a place nearby Maine after having a lobster roll, which I can probably do this. Have any of you heard of the drink Moxie? Which will give me a perfect time to go get caught up on all my comments, so I apologize. All right, let's see what I see. What I miss. What's your favorite homemade backpacking food? Asks Uptrail. I'm going to go with hot dogs. I know it's really simple and too easy, but a good hot dog is just so... It's you just right. Hello, Esther. Glad to have you back. It's always great to see you. You're always here, and it's good. And everyone else is excited to see you, Esther. Hi, Christopher. Hi, Jason. Hi, Esther. Pretty much all major mountains in the Northeast are like that. Adirondacks can be brutal. Lots of rock scrambling. I'm about to hike one of the hardest mountains up there. Oh, what's that mountain? I'm curious. Hi, Hans. My favorite people. Hi, Esther. Everyone's just having a good time. Do you guys have like a mini group, like a mini Facebook group or Instagram group or Reddit group where you all just talk behind our backs? It's pretty cool if you do. How long was the road trip? All right, yeah, so the road trip itself, I started on Thursday going to Philly, and I got back Friday from Connecticut. So after Katahdin, I drove to, I think it was Brewer, Maine, stayed near Brewer, Maine. From Brewer, Maine, I drove to Littleton, New Hampshire, and I stopped at Mount Washington and the White Mountains, as I think some people mentioned that I should. By the way, we are going to definitely have to film a full episode on Mount Washington and the White Mountains because that was an incredibly beautiful area. So if you wanted that, good. Stayed in Littleton. From Littleton, I drove down to Connecticut. And from Connecticut, I drove to Columbus the next day. That was Friday. So a week and a day, to answer your question. All right, let's see. On Katahdin, Moxie Bald. I don't know what Moxie Bald is. Yes, you have heard of Moxie. I see you as the pro hiker out of Robby, Bryan, and Andrew, but I think Robby could be on par with you, seeing that he really likes to keep fit. Robbie's definitely the most fit out of all of us, I'd say. The problem with Robby, and he knows this full well, is he can't take a hike without filming it. He keeps wanting to, but we just never do. And so as long as you have that burden of trying to film a hike, you can never really do a full hike as your body is trying to. I'm convinced Bryan and Andrew could do full hikes too. I'd say you can't just start on Mount Whitney and you can't just start on Mount Katahdin. But I'm pretty sure they could have all done Katahdin. I was out of shape. I haven't hiked for months, and that's part of the reason why I kicked my butt so much. But it was good that I kicked my butt because now I can go out and start hiking again. I'm trying to think. Dawn, right? Dawn. Hot dog in a good company with Robby when he was on a roll with hog dogs. I love it. I would be happy with some oats and camping. Algonquin Peak. Okay. I didn't realize Algonquin Peak was in the Adirondacks. No, we would never do that. We should make a Facebook group. Oh, you guys can definitely talk about us. Are you part of a group? Not me. I'm new here. But I saw Esther at least one, if not two, live streams. You all just seem to. You guys are the faithful
faithful bunch, keep always returning, and we appreciate it. I've told Bryan, you all have to backpack coastal Maine. You're not wrong. I loved coastal Maine. I didn't know you could backpack it if there's even like a trail that you can backpack. It probably is. I just don't know it. Robby's vlogs are like food for the brain. He's inspiring me to lose weight. Good. I know I haven't watched his vlogs in a while, but I have seen that a lot of his thumbnails have been fitness related. So that would make sense. He is probably on a fitness kick right now. Let me see if I can pull up some pictures. You're not going to get great views from my right off my phone here. But let's see what I can do. Can I change? I can't change my camera. By the way, here's my Zelda poster right here. All right, let's see. Come on. Can you see that? So there's Mount Katahdin from that morning. If this is a fool's errand, just let me know, and just let me know if you're getting frustrated with this. This is the view from one of the balds. I'm still definitely way in the tree line here, but you can start to see your elevation and a few other mountains in the distance. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Definitely getting elevation up here. I'm still in the tree line here, but you can start to see some of the mountains over here, as well as a view of Maine over there. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Here we go. There's no sound here, but there's a great video of me being blown by the wind. The wind was incredibly strong up there. There you go. And then I asked somebody to take a picture of me on Mount Katahdin. And of the 4 pictures you took, this is the only one that was in focus. Nothing exceptional there. But let me show you. Here we go. This is what I'm talking about. It's really difficult to see here. It'll be better in the video itself. But you can see this is the trail. The trail itself is just boulders. And those are big boulders. They look small here, but they're big. And then I ended everything with a nice hot dog or Frankfurter and lobster roll. It's hard to tell, but that's a lobster roll right there. And it's delicious. So if you get a chance, stop by the Frankfurter house in wherever I was, whatever little town you drive through on your way to Katahdin. These are just Brewer, Maine. These are some of my other stops along there. There's Stephen King, because he's from Maine. Here's the top of Mount Washington. There's me on top of Mount Washington. There's my New England clam chowder on top of Mount Washington. Oh, here's the inn. Oh, come on, buddy. Here's the inn I stayed at in Littleton, New Hampshire. It's called Thayer's Inn. It's old. It's from the 1840s, I believe, and a lot of famous people have stayed there, including Nixon. Ulysses S. Grant at least visited there. The room I was in also roomed the same guy that wrote Dances with Wolves. There's Thayer's Inn. There's the outside right there. There's a nice little covered bridge with a river going through it next to a mill with that same river taken from the covered bridge. Let's see what else. Here we go. Here's my room. It's backwards. You can't see that, but it says Michael Blake Dances with Wolves, 1992. And the only other thing I'm going to end on is if you follow my Instagram, you've already seen this picture, but I wanted to stop here and take a picture of the staircase to nowhere, a ruin from a castle up in New Hampshire, on the border of New Hampshire and Vermont. I forget the name of the park, but
there is a really funny, not funny, but creepy story out there about random staircases in the woods that take people. So you can do some research and find that. Check out YouTuber TOGR, the Outdoor Gear Review. He just did an overnight on Bold Trail way up and down East Maine, close to where my husband and I loved to vacation. Very nice. Ooh, Zelda. Yeah, I got a lot of Zelda stuff here. I love TOGR, Twilight Princess, the best game. Very good. Very nice, beautiful sky. William McKean. Yeah, Luke is fun. And the Yellow Jacket makes yet another appearance. Oh, if you like the Yellow Jacket, you're going to like the video because there's a lot of the Yellow Jacket. Summiting Cloud Peak in Wyoming was our most difficult climb up and back. It was challenging rock scramble over 13,000 feet. Wow, 13,000 feet is no joke. Wales is like that. I've seen some people who've hiked Wales and England, and I've always been kind of impressed by how many boulders are there. Christopher Williams, you should check out some pics of Snowdon or Brecon Beacons. I am friends with somebody who follows our channel who lives with her boyfriend in who lives in England, and I see them hike that all the time. It looks beautiful, but you're right, it looks very bouldery. Thomas, your cooking skills are awesome. I didn't cook those, for the record, but thank you if you're just commenting on my cooking skills. You're going to really like our Zion video from our next episode if you like my cooking skills. I hope you guys hike more Northeast Mountains. I love hiking them. I'm starting the Adirondack 46er and by extension the Northeast 115. Wow, that's a lot of mountains. By the way, I am a hot dog fan too. Yoko's in Eastern Pennsylvania is a good little hot dog place. I'll bear that in mind. I don't really know much about Pennsylvania. I drove through all of it getting back from Connecticut. Lol Dawn, it wouldn't be a hike without an AA post-hike meal. Yeah, I ate a lot on this trail. I ate more than I hiked considerably, especially in New York and Pennsylvania. I also made this a tour, a food tour as well. So I had a Philly cheesesteak with whiz, as they say, in Philly. In New York, I had a deli bagel with lox. I had New York pizza twice. I had a New York coffee from just a small diner in Chinatown with bacon and toast. And I tried to get everything I could in there. I didn't get a street hot dog. I feel like I needed to have gotten a street hot dog. Thomas, that photo looks like it's from Breath of the Wild. It really kind of does. The whole world looks like Breath of the Wild, which is kind of a dumb thing for me to say, but it's true. Haha, I found it hilarious when I saw the stair post on Instagram. Those stories are my favorite. Some people think they're hilarious. Some people think they're really creepy. I'll leave it up to you. Christopher Williams, is Brecon Beacons in Wales? Is it Brecon Beacons or Brecon Beacons? Yes, Jason, awesome place. Did my Prince of Wales bronze, silver, gold award there in Brecons. Everywhere You Look reminds me of Lord of the Rings. Yes, Lord of the Rings. Think Harry Potter was filmed in Wales too. Dirty Water Dogs. There we go. I'm caught up. Yeah, hot dogs are quite good. I got to get to England someday. We should film something there. We should film things a lot of places. What backpack are you currently using? I'm going to grab it. Bear with me. I'm just going to show my day pack for now. I'm not a gear nut, so I can't really talk too much about it that much, but it is an Osprey. I believe it is a 24-liter. You want the details right there. It's 24-liter Stratos. This is unisex, and it is a little small on me, but it gets the job done. It has a hydration pack, but
one of the things I had to change when I got this backpack was I needed to get an Osprey hydration pouch, which I would recommend getting over, let's say, a platypus, because it comes with a detachable magnetic clip to it, so you can go like bam, bam, bam. It is raised off your back a little bit, so you do have this gap here to help breathe on your back. One of the important things about this for me that I needed an ice axe loop so that I could start doing some mountaineering without taking a big, like 60-liter pack out there. It's got, which is important for my tripod, 2 clamps down here for me to loop my tripod through. Obviously, you can see there's not a whole lot of space in the main pouch, and even less space up top and in the front pouch. So most of your stuff is going to be here, and it is going to be tight. But you could, if you want to do ultralight, if you remove the compression pack, you could stick even without a compression pack, even with the compression pack, you could stick the sleeping bag in the main body, and down here you would attach your tent bag to keep that on the outside, as well as anything else that you needed up top here. It'd be tight, but it'd be pretty ultralight. Overall, this is super, super light, super small, as you can see. One of the other things I love about Osprey is its, let me see if I don't know if I can demonstrate it, but this up here. When you hike, here we go. Yeah, here it is. If you see this if you own an Osprey and you've always been curious what this is, I'm going to thank my friend who now lives up in Maine, who was PCT hiking, who explained this to me. This is a place to put your hiking poles. So what you do is you put the heads of your hiking poles through here. So while you're hiking, and then the bottom part of your hiking poles go through this loop down here. Most of you might already know this already, but I'm just one time. So when you're wearing your backpack, let's see. I don't know if you can see this. These you tighten with this. Your hiking poles go through here, underneath your armpit, and get locked in this guard down here. And of course, this backpack also comes with a waistband as well. You got your water hose here. You can flip it to either side. Right now I have it on this side. And you have some mini pouches around your wristband, or around your waistband as well. I love it. I wouldn't change it. I wish it was a little bigger, but the bigger you get, the heavier things are going to be. So let me make sure I'm all caught up on your comments here. Did my Prince of Wales, bronze, silver, gold? Read that one already. Dirty Water, hot dogs. Yes, Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. To be clear, I don't think the stair stories are funny. They actually really freaked me out the first time I read them. Me too, actually. I didn't think they were that funny, but to each their own. I know some people who laughed about them, and I've always just kind of taken that approach. I also tend to laugh about things that scare me because I don't want to be scared, and it's easier to put on a face of laughing than be scared. If you watch our Deep South episode when we go to a plantation, you'll see how scared I get of spooky places. I'm definitely not laughing. Let's see what else we got. What pack are you currently using? I got that out of the way. Good question, Up Trail. Although I was like 13 the first time I read them. Harry Potter. I have read a lot of Harry Potter. Looking forward to the new Warner Brothers Fantastic Beasts coming out in November. Snug packs do good backpacks. Yes, they do. Nice day pack, and it could work for an overnight trip. I have actually used it for an overnight trip as well. I used it on our solar eclipse video
because I was flying Frontier and I didn't want to pay for a checked bag. And so that was the way I got around it. That was the only bag I carried. Nice day pack, and it could work for an overnight trip. Good bag, got top and bottom straps for roll mat and tent, plenty of room. Exactly. Nice. Nice. Explain the strange little loops. Nice explain on the strange little loops. What Deep South episode are you talking about? Oh, all right. So when we did our road trip, we broke it into 3 segments. I don't know how much the other guys have shared with you, but if you're a Patreon member, you've already seen our California segment, which is easily our shortest segment. But the only segment that does have some backpacking in it. So California incorporated Big Sur, Mount Whitney, Death Valley, and Vegas. The next episode that we're actually just starting today is going to incorporate Vegas in the morning to Zion to Antelope Canyon, and to Big Bend, no, not Big Bend, Horseshoe Bend Overlook. From there, we go to Monument Valley, camp there. From Monument Valley, we go to Albuquerque, meet up with our good friend James Blackburn, who shows us around Albuquerque, Old Town, classic Albuquerque, which is pretty cool. And we end at a place called Tucumcari, New Mexico, which is just on the border between New Mexico and Texas. So that'll be the next episode entirely. And that will be called the Southwest. Then after that, we have the Deep South, which is going to include our trip through Texas with the state parkers. Shoot, I don't know if I was supposed to say that or not. Anyway, hike through Austin. And from Austin, we go through Houston to a plantation in New Orleans. From there, we go canoeing up the bayou, which is classically Deep South. We see a few cool things canoeing up the bayou, camp in a campsite along the bayou. Then we go up to Nashville and spend a night in Nashville. And then we end our entire road trip staying a night with Robby's family, which is kind of a good end to everything. And if you want to be technical, there is you can call my road trip out east as like the secret ending to the entire road trip, but that'll be its own little side video. That's not going to be a full episode. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's going to be the Deep South. So it's going to be Texas, Louisiana, and Nashville. Let's see what else. Donna will be the next road trip. Okay, thanks. Well, it'll be 2 road trips from now. I gotcha. Saw California, but I hadn't heard of anything of the other 2. That was the shortest. Holy, can't wait for the next 2 then. I think it's the shortest. Robby and Andrew seem to have some misgivings about the Deep South video. I think we have enough content there that'll maybe the Deep South video will be on par with California. It just doesn't have a whole lot of backpacking, which I know a lot of people love. So we'll see how people react to California when we release that, the California road trip when we release that, because it has some backpacking, but it's also got a lot of road tripping too. Can't wait for old Albuquerque. I think you guys are going to love that. Looking forward to road trip part 2. Part 1 was awesome. Desert freaked me out. How did Bryan manage wearing black? Oh, it wasn't that hot, really. We went in April, so it was kind of a nice mild temperature, except in Death Valley. It was hot, but it wasn't humid. And we definitely cooled down once we were in Vegas. Vegas was such a contrast to where we just were. It was like, I can't even compare. It's like going from space, the emptiness of space, being on a ship in space and landing in New York City. You can, it really kind of takes you out of your element there. All right. Let's see what else. We saw the state parkers in Robby's vlogs. Okay, good. Then you saw the state parkers, so that's not a secret. I've heard Robby's vlogs. Where can one find those? Oh, just type in Robby Huang,
Huang in YouTube. That should take you to his main videos. He releases a video pretty much every day. Sometimes he's better about it than other days. He has hundreds and hundreds of videos, but you can go back. You can type in Robby Huang, the road trip, and you can probably see all those videos there. If you want to scroll down far enough, you can find some of his vlogs from the road trip. Those do a good job of showcasing a lot of what we did, but not everything. We do that on purpose so that you have most of the meat, if you will, in our full episodes. How are the t-shirts design coming along? That's a great question. I wish I had answers for you. We have 4 of the 5 designed, and I got to be on top of that. I've got classes starting up again soon, so my attention has been diverted to things that I actually need to be doing. But having said that, I did just watch 4 episodes of Star Trek, so I really don't have an excuse. I enjoyed chatting with Bryan and Andrew about California. Oh, I'm glad you did. California is such a beautiful, interesting place. Robby Huang on YouTube, watch his vlogs. Well, Death Valley is literally the hottest place on the continent. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's very hot. Any more trips before school starts? We were supposed to go, and we still are going to go. Just, I've got the route planned. I just need everyone else to pick days that work for them. Cumberland Gap, that's there. I would love to go to the White Mountains, but that's kind of far. I don't know if we'll have time for that. Would love to go up to Minnesota for an episode. A lot of side videos we'd love to do. There's a lot of stuff we'd love to do, but we got so much editing we need to do, and editing takes so much time. So we'll see. What am I studying? I'm studying business. Well, that's the plan, at least. I found out that I missed a few weeks worth of assignments because I was on my road trip and I didn't check my email until I just got back today. So I'm studying business. I'm getting my MBA at OSU. When do classes start? Next month. So really quickly, a lot quicker than I thought I would. I thought I'd have 6 months of vacation, and I guess I did, but it didn't feel like 6 months at all. Any other questions? I am taking lightning round questions from you guys for the next 5 minutes until 10 o'clock, and then I do have to get going. I do kind of want some Moxie, though. Moxie's pretty good. Is business school going to take up a lot of time? Are you still going on Adventure Archives trips? I hope to. If Bryan was able to still go on those Adventure Archives trips when he was working full-time in Columbus, the fact that I'm now in Columbus means I should be able to go on a lot more of them. The only difference is I can't take vacation days on business school because I'm in school. You can't really miss anything. I mean, you can, but you really shouldn't. So as long as it doesn't interfere with school, I should be fine. I'd say the first year would be a little bit more difficult than the second year. The second year, as I understand, is a little bit more flexible. But we'll see. I should be able to go. If not, I'll still be doing trips on my own time on the weekends. But I really don't know how much of a time commitment business school is, but I am planning to give it treat it like a full-time job. Even more so of a full-time job than I may have my actual full-time old job. Willie McKean, Tetons or Adirondacks? Oh, thank you, Mom. My mom's watching right now, and she saw that I was talking about Moxie. So I'll wait till my mom goes downstairs. This is Moxie. Moxie is a drink made in Maine. We read all about it the other day. Everyone I've talked to who's had this says it's disgusting, but I like it. If you've ever had a Necco wafer, those really old chalky candies that you sometimes get at Cracker Barrel, which is a whole nother discussion, by the way. This tastes a lot like liquid Neccos.
but I really enjoy it. Some people say it's really bitter. But it's good. If you get a chance, look it up. If you're really curious, order just one bottle like this online. Try it out. It's interesting. Whenever you heard people say, that's she's got what the kids call is moxie. That's what this is coming from. It used to be like a tonic. Hi, Thomas's mom. Tetons all the way. Our 4-year-old enjoyed the following road trip part 1 on a map as we watched. Oh, followed along. Oh, good. Well, I think you guys will find the next 2 much more. We'll get a lot more miles under our belt over the next 2 road trips. So you'll have more fun following those, I think. I guess you could get the summer off, but you have to do internships. Yeah. Next summer, I don't even know if I'm going to be in Columbus next summer. My goal is not to be, but who knows? I might be, I might not be. Favorite season? Fall, of course. Fall is the best. Steak cut up or in big pieces. I like my steak in big pieces. I like it to cover all the taste buds in the mouth. Business school can be intense depending on the program. Yeah, I'm not going down a financial route. I'm going down strategy and marketing. Kind of, I love marketing. That's what I used to do for my job, way. So I'd love to kind of flesh out those skills as best as possible. Hi, Thomas's mom. I remember Necos. Hi, Mom. Not sponsored. Reply Moxie regarding Moxie. Yes, definitely not sponsored, but I enjoy it, and I'm curious what Andrew will think of it, because Andrew is somebody who loves everything, even though he probably hates a lot of the things he eats. So this Moxie, I'm curious if he'll like it. Baked or mashed potatoes? Mashed potatoes are easily my favorite food of all time. Are you staying on campus? I am not staying on campus. Oh, maybe I will. I don't know. I doubt I will. I'll probably stay here. So when is the Everest Base Camp hike? When I have the time and the money and I'm in fit enough condition to do that. So because of you guys through Patreon, someday that may happen, but I will never promise that. If the opportunity ever comes up, then yeah, I'll bring a camera along, but no promises. Dogs. I'll go with dogs every day. Dogs, cats, or horses? Dogs all the time. One day, could Denali happen? Maybe. I would love to hike to the top of Denali, but I have very little mountaineering experience as is. I would be more inclined to do Gates of the Arctic and Denali together. More Gates of the Arctic as the full episode, with Denali as kind of like the bun, the sandwich, like bookcase it with Denali on either side, so we would see the important parts of Denali, but do most of the backpacking in Gates of the Arctic, because that's just such a undervisited part of Alaska. Ocean or lake swimming? Lake swimming. I hate the ocean. The ocean is terrifying. And it is now 10 o'clock. I learned how to pronounce that word last time. Any chance you guys hiking in the UK for an episode? We'd love to hike UK. The problem is anytime we travel, we have to travel by plane. It's really pricey, especially when we go internationally. I mean, if you look at flights, it's going to be about $1,000 just to fly one person out there. $4,000 to fly 4 people out there before lodging, which arguably is pretty cheap for us because we do most of our lodging outdoors. But we do need to arrange transportation and everything. So it's going to cost us probably around $6,000 to $8,000 just to do a trip internationally. Yeah, that's not cheap, and we can't keep doing those. But we try and do some big ones every year, and maybe we'll do that next year. We'll see. What $1,000? That's expensive. Yeah, I think it is. It's probably $1,000 to go to London. Let's see. Flights from Columbus to London. Yep, here we go. If I take Air Canada, 1,127, 1,117, 1,128. This is in 2 months too. All right, water is 52 degrees. I'm late to the stream, but bonjour, Thomas. Bonjour, Adam. I'm sorry. I'm about to head off right now. Have a good rest of the night, Thomas. Thanks, William. Grievous, good catch. Tan Pants, that's me. That's a pocket burner. Yes, it is. Thanks for the stream, C3PO. Always fun. Thanks so much for the stream, Thomas. Great to chat with you. Thank you so much, Esther. Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you so much, Christopher. Thank you so much, Dawn. Thank you so much, William. Thank you so much, UpTrail71. I will see you all pretty soon, honestly. We'll probably do a live chat with everyone, for everyone, not just patrons, shortly. If not, I'll see you in about a month, unless I decide to